So, ladies and gentlemen, and dear Martin, thanks for the invitation. And when we met last year in Frankfurt, I think everybody was a little more bullish on that. We have seen the first people carried around a Virgin Hyperloop, and we have seen all these fascinating projects all over the world. And 1 year later, I guess most of you have read the article yesterday in the New York Times. I did so, and so I think truth is somewhere in between. And I believe this is a typical cycle of R&D developments that at some points everybody's excited and then it goes a little bit down, and we have to go through this. I think this is important. And I believe that Hyperloop is very important technology. As Keir said, it's very important to fight against the climate change, and I also believe that it's the right thing to make more mobility possible. I think this shall be the aim, to make more mobility possible and quicker, easier, and I think therefore Hyperloop is a much better way for transportation than we see this with the legacy trains today, or by planes and all the stress that you can see on the airports. But I think in the last year I was running around through the German political system a little bit to promote Hyperloop technology, and so what I heard from a lot of colleagues was that they said, so is this concrete enough? So where are we standing today? What shall we explicitly do? And I think this is the point I want to address here this morning. So what is your political pitch? I think this is important to give the policy makers, the decision makers in the ministries, a clear thing that they can decide on, to say, so this is a track we can go for, this is what we need. And therefore is also a question about interoperability and standards. I think this is very important, because if you set as a government on one of your startups and you try a test track with them, and if maybe this company will crash, and if you're going through the startup ecosystem, you've seen over all these years and decades a lot of startups that didn't in the end succeed. And I think this is normal and it's okay, but for the one that started with an infrastructure approach, and so maybe if the startup you selected will not make it, what do you do with this infrastructure? I think this is an important question you have to find an answer to, that also maybe another provider can use this infrastructure, and you can tell all these policymakers, so what you're investing here, this will not be lost. There is a possibility also with different players. And I think this is one thing, and the other thing is so how to make this concrete. And you have competition, that's clear. It's been said that there are also other technologies upcoming, electric planes. I think they are not so much further than Hyperloop is, and I've seen a lot of startups there. We had one in Aachen, they don't exist anymore. So in this case, but I've seen others in Munich, Veridian. They try to build small planes, battery electric for 9 passengers, completely climate neutral, not only in terms of CO2, but also in terms of all other possible emissions there. And so they can arrive on 300 airports all over Germany. They're coming much more closer to the passengers. So this is something maybe that's challenging for the future, and where governments will have to think, do we push for Hyperloop or do we push for electric planes, or what is the right thing to do? And so in the end, I'm very fascinated about all your efforts here, about the amount of venture capital, of all the approach of all these startups, and I believe that Hyperloop's technology we have to push for the future, and so it's the right thing to come here to Germany, to Berlin this morning, and to work on that. And so I will now lean back and listen to what you are saying. Thanks for having me here.